Joker has taken the Smash world by storm ever since his release back in April. He was certainly one of the most talked about newcomers in Smash history, but exactly what has his impact been in the competitive scene of Smash? Well, Joker has been at the forefront of the competitive scene as he has been piloted by the undisputed best Smash Bros. Ultimate player, MkLeo. It's hard to talk about Joker without bringing up Leo, so let's just look at some quick facts. Since Joker's release, there have been 6 S-tier major tournaments for Smash Bros. Ultimate. All of these tournaments have had at least 1,000 participants or more. MkLeo has entered all of those 6 and was able to win 4 of them using Joker, along with 1 second place finish. This is an incredibly impressive feat, and Joker and Leo have done it side by side. But winning is something Leo has known even before Joker. He has been the best Smash Ultimate player since its release, utilizing characters such as Lucina and Ike to bring home wins and dominate to the point where people actually thought Ike was broken. He was also the best Smash player at the end of Smash 4's era once Zero had entered retirement, so Leo is definitely not carried by Joker. The man is a legend at this point. I want to clarify this ahead of the points I'm about to make, as not to take anything away from Leo or suggest that Joker in any way carries him. So with Leo's accomplishments in context, let's dive back into the original title of the video. Is Joker bad for the competitive scene? Joker is by no means a perfect or flawless character. He definitely has his weaknesses. However, I think his strengths more than make up for those, and a lot of his strengths, for lack of a better word, are just frustrating to both play against and to watch play out in a competitive setting. Let's just address the elephant in the room that everyone is aware of: Arsene. Joker is able to summon Arsene when his Rebellion gauge is filled completely. Arsene adds multiple properties onto Joker's attacks and gives him an incredible power boost to go along with his already very good frame data. It's essentially his version of going Super Saiyan. I think the best word to describe Arsene is oppressive. The power, speed, and frame data combo can feel suffocating, and it leads to the point that I feel is the biggest reason why Joker is bad for the competitive scene. That being, more often than not, the best way to fight back against Arsene is to just not fight at all. Stall, run away. Do whatever you can to let Arsene expire before planning to make your big counterattack, whether that be utilizing your character's tools to play keep away, or using the game's tools like maximizing the full invulnerability time you get after spawning in for a new stock. I will be using Samsora vs Leo at both Smash Con and Shine, as well as Mars vs Leo at CEO, as examples of these kinds of play that were displayed in the matches. Multiple times you can see Samsora doing whatever it takes to avoid Arsene, regardless of what the percentage or stock count was. This can lead to a lot of lulls or downtime in a best of 5 when all the time is added together, and can definitely throw off the matches from a spectator's point. And no one should blame Samsora or Mars either. They did what is strategically the best thing to do in the matchup. I think as time goes on, we will begin to see more players start to adapt and begin to work on stalling Arsene, especially if they have mobile characters or characters with unique properties like Peach, who can buy a lot of time with floating. And that's not a timeline I want to go down, where stalling Arsene becomes something we will see at every top 8. Since Leo is such a beast, it's hard to imagine him missing out on a top 8 anytime soon. Another potential problem with Joker is how the Rebellion gauge functions. Now, by default, the Rebellion gauge will build very slowly over time, but Joker can also manipulate the gauge using his down B Rebel's guard, which will tack on extra meter if you successfully counter a move using it. In addition, the meter will fill up when Joker takes damage. I think this should be changed to be the opposite. I personally don't like the aspect of a player being rewarded for losing to the other player. It was one of the reasons I was so happy that Rage's influence was heavily reduced in this game compared to Smash 4. And yes, I know, Lucario pretty much has the same thing built into his kit with Aura. I don't like that either, but at least in this case, he doesn't have the same type of frame data or versatility that Joker is packing, so it's a bit of a different scenario. Now, Joker's comeback factor was incredibly evident in Sam Sora's match versus Leo, as it's a rough spot because once you land a solid combo against Joker, he pretty much has Arsene on deck, and we saw that happen time after time. Sam Sora would land a great combo onto Leo, only to be met with the great reward of having to fight against Arsene. It's incredibly frustrating to not only fight against, but to spectate as well. I would much rather watch the Joker player be rewarded for landing hits as opposed to taking damage. There's a lot of numbers that will probably need to be tweaked overall, but I think that style change would feel a lot less frustrating for most players. It allows you to make your counterattack without having to worry about getting interrupted by a random Arsene appearing, and it allows the Joker player to be rewarded for landing hits and pushing their advantage. Joker also spawns with 25% of his meter filled up. It's worth noting that it's not too difficult to build up a decent amount of meter with both Rebel's Guard and just by taking damage naturally. Rebel's Guard comes out at an incredibly fast rate at frame 3, which is actually Joker's fastest attack in the entire game, and the counter can be held for as long as 1.5 seconds. It is probably the most unique counter in the game with its frame data combined with the boost it gives Joker if executed properly. This great counter combined with the ability to gain meter by just existing and by taking damage seems to make it too easy to gain meter. So if the meter properties were to remain how they are, I think Joker should be spawning in with 0% every time. Arsene is way too powerful to be appearing as often as he does per round, and Joker definitely does not need the extra 25% meter on spawn. With a player of Leo's caliber, Arsene can appear sometimes 6 times in a single match. In his current state, Arsene feels like something that should appear maybe once per stock, or around 3 times per match. Having to deal with him twice on a single stock seems a little ridiculous. Now, the counterbalance to all of this is that Joker can find it difficult to kill without Arsene. Quite a few times Sam Sora would be able to play great defense and live up to 180 or sometimes even 200% because of Joker's difficulty to finish stocks in base form at the top level of play. And for me, therein lies the resolution. I think overall Joker would feel less frustrating to play against and spectate if some of Arsene's power was drained away and compensation buffs were given to base Joker. That way Joker is not fully reliant on Arsene to do all of the heavy lifting, and Arsene isn't viewed as a killing machine and rather as a slight power up to base Joker. And I mentioned earlier that I think over time we will see more people adapt to playing against Joker and utilizing these stalling techniques. But also there are going to be more top level players trying their hand at playing Joker. Players like Void and Nairo have already been dedicating time into trying the character in tournaments, and now even Zachary, the Japanese phenom, has begun maining Joker and actively winning tournaments with him in Japan. So I don't think this will be viewed as an MkLeo isolated issue for much longer. We may begin to see these gameplay issues I mentioned on an even more regular basis as time goes on and these other players become more comfortable in their Joker and bring it out on main stages. And again, I'm not saying Joker is Bayonetta levels of broken, because he's not. That was never the argument here. My argument is again that he is a frustrating character to both play against and to watch. You can be frustrating without necessarily being broken. Joker has this weird mini-game dynamic involved with his character thanks to the presence of Arsene, and that shifts around how good the character can really be. But I think the Arsene minigame in itself isn't that fun to watch or play against in its current state. Joker is a really cool character by design. A lot of his moves just look really fun to watch, and he can have some incredibly hyped plays. But I think overall he's just a few changes away from being both more appealing to watch and less frustrating to play against, while still keeping him in a healthy spot competitive wise. I gave a few possible solutions here, but I'm sure other ones out there exist. If you have any, I'd like to hear them down below in the comments, and just your overall thoughts on Joker as he stands now. That is going to bring us to the end of this video, guys. As always, my social media links are down below, so check those out if you'd like. And if you want to keep up with future content, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.